Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of In Distress, a podcast where I talk about nonsense in the comfort of my childhood bedroom. Wow. Obviously I sound terrible. Let's start there. I know that. I know. I have COVID, actually. I'm going to go take a COVID test at like 9:30 to get confirmation. Like, I know I have it. And I'm about to pay $20 for that, which we'll get to. We'll talk about that later. But apparently getting a COVID test, it's just not free anymore. So yeah. Also, it sounds like I'm going to cough after every sentence. That's normal. That's normal, guys. That's normal. Run of the mill stuff. Welcome to my pity party. Yeah. Welcome to my pity party. I have COVID. I'm getting laid off of my job soon. One of my childhood friends passed away earlier this week. You know, some people would say that this is looking like rock bottom. Yeah, it is. And to that, I would say, yeah, it is. I don't think that there's anything that I could say to not make that true, actually. But one thing I've learned is that even when you think life has put you at its lowest, it can always get worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be worse. I was actually having a conversation with my friend Paige the other day. And I was like telling her, because we hadn't really talked that much at the end of February. And I was like, yeah, like, honestly, I'm sorry y'all had to witness that cough. Anyways, I was telling my friend about how, I was like, yeah, this year has been really rough. And I was like, honestly, to be saying that this year has been rough, and it's only like, at the time it was like March 5th. And she was like, yeah, damn, like, you really had a tough go at it these past few months. And I was like, yeah, I have, but you know what? It could always be worse. You know what she said to me? She said, yeah, it could be worse, but it could be better. And I was like, damn, you're right. It could be better. Anyways, glad we got that out the way. I've started this episode over at least 12 times. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have it in me to start it over again. I really just wanted to come on here and show up for myself because I told myself that I was going to have 52 episodes this year. And I have the perfect excuse to not show up, right? And I was like, I can be understanding of myself about why I couldn't post this week. Like, I can forgive me on that. Or really the question was, can I forgive myself for that? And unfortunately, we're at the mental state where the answer to that is no. I would honestly never forgive myself if I didn't come on here and at least try and give you guys a good 30 to 40. Okay, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I was like, I'm going to be here though. I'm going to be here. I'm going to show up. And the sick thing is that I've been excited all week to come and do the podcast. I even thought about recording it earlier this week because I was so excited. I was like, I have so many things to talk about. Like, I had written all these topics down and I was just so excited. And then I had an emotional breakdown like 2 days ago, and I called my friends like crying, snot coming out my nose. And like I said, it's just been really rough week. Been a really rough week. I guess I'm trying to see, because in my head, I always have like an idea of like what I want the episode to be, what I want it to look like, and I really wanted this episode to be like a nice, calm chat. And I just think I'm incapable of doing the things that I plan. I think that. I really do. I think it's kind of like that quote when people are like, man plans, God laughs. I know God is getting a good old cackle out of me because at the beginning of the year, I was like, I really just want to grow this year and I want to be better and I want to, I want to do things that I haven't done before and I want to change and I want to, live outside of fear. And my motto for this year is like anything can happen in a year. And last week, one of my podcast episode did really great on YouTube. It even got like more listeners on Spotify, and I was really proud of myself. But the only thing about that is that once you start building the momentum, you really have to keep it going. Because I don't have like a big following like that. It really is like I'd have to keep that up. And there have been moments when I've like not shown up and done the podcast and I've not shown up for myself. And then I end up in like a plateau period where like barely anybody is listening to the episodes. And I was like, could I forgive myself for letting like this episode slip just because I'm sick? And the answer to that was no. It was no. So we're here and I'm excited. And that was a really long intro. But yeah, basically, we're having a pity party today because I had this whole spiel about life and all this stuff that I had written down. And I don't really feel like talking about that yet. So maybe we'll put a pin in that for right now. But I did want to come on here and start off at the beginning of my week. So, I had this friend and his name was Luke. And honestly, he was just like one of the sweetest people. Like, honestly, he was, and I knew him, like, I grew up with him. So I probably rode the bus with him since like, maybe like fourth or fifth grade to like my senior year of high school. He may have started driving like our junior year, but sometimes he would still like get on the bus every now and then. And he was honestly just a really nice person. And I found out he passed away. Like, I got on Instagram and one of his friends had posted that he had passed. And I was like, girl, like, what do you mean he passed away? I was like confused and shocked because I had just spoken to him like a week before then. And the thing about Luke was that he was always going to reach out to people. Like, and he would just do it all the time. Like, if you were having a bad day, like, I would get on the bus and like in high school, especially, like, I was just really going through a lot. Like, I'm sure that most people in high school are. Like, obviously, I don't really know what other people had going on because that's not the version of life that I was living. But I would just have like really bad days, and like he would always like, like come and like sit down like in the seat next to me, and like we would always like talk and catch up and like joke around and stuff. And it was, and like he was just, when I talk about him, it's like those are like the things that I know. Like, he was nice, he cared about people, like he never made people feel left out. Like, he was a good person. And then I got on Facebook because that was like the only form of social media that he really used besides Snapchat. And a lot of people were like posting and like, I think he had 2 sons, and I didn't really know what happened. So I went to go and find out. And I ended up finding out that he got into an argument with somebody that he had gone out with, like to eat dinner or something, like a friend. And they got into an argument and they shot him. And I like that already. That was like a lot to like already like be shocked that your friend passed away, and like to know that he's like a really nice person, but also to like go on Facebook and know that there were other people who experienced that same version of him. And I think knowing that, like, I don't really know what that feeling is, but it's like to know that somebody's character and like their actions like went beyond the version of them that you saw. Like, yeah, I saw that he was a nice person and that he was always joking around and always checked on people and was really caring and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I know that because that's the version of him that I saw. But it's really nice to know that other people saw him that way too. And not only that they saw him that way, but he continued being that same person and like fundamentally being a good, kind-hearted, caring person for like the rest of the life that he had lived. And like, it's like at the point of like, dang, like knowing that makes this like 1,000 times worse. Like, already like there's so many things that I need to say here. Like, we obviously have a gun problem, like, and I've always believed that outside of just this situation is very close to me, yes, but like I've said before, I just don't think that guns need to be in the possession of anybody. That, like, if you get into an argument, the first thing you're thinking is, I'm going to grab my gun. I don't think that anybody who has a gun or is in possession of a gun or owns a gun or whatever, if you make a split second decision like that, and that's immediately where your mind goes, you don't need to have a gun. I do think it should be very hard. It should be much more difficult than it is to get a gun. And like I said, like, yes, this situation in particular is personal to me, but the fact that you can go to the grocery store like I did today. I went to Target and got some cough drops and bought this Ariana Grande album, and I could just go to the store for that. And just to know that people go to stores to kill people. That's a lot. That's a lot to take in. Like, you could literally die or lose your life doing anything in America because anybody can have a gun. You can, or just anything in general. Like, you could send your kid to school and there are people who are worried about whether or not their kid's coming home. Like I said, you can go to the store and just be picking up some diapers for your kid and you're worried that maybe somebody might shoot you. You could be going to the bank to deposit a check or to open up a bank account. And that's still a fear that might be in the back of your mind. Like, you could be going to the gas station to just fill up some gas real quick, to get some gas really quick. And that's what you have. Like, nothing about that's okay. You could get into an argument with somebody at dinner. Somebody you know at dinner. And lose your life because of that. There's a really big problem here. Really big problem. And I'm honestly really disappointed. I'm really, really, really disappointed in where this country is going. Like, I don't really know how we fix this one. I'll be honest. I sound like I'm actually about to pass away. Hold on, guys. Let me get the Ricola. They had really great commercials. Growing up, they did. Anywho, that was really tough because, like I said, I had spoken to him the week before then, and I didn't respond immediately, but one day I was just at work and I responded. And we ended up having like a conversation or whatever, and we were just catching up because he would do that sometimes. He would just like reach out to people and message them on Snapchat and be like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? And that's what he had done just the week before then. And he ended up like saying like, oh yeah, he had asked me what I was doing, and I was like, oh, I'm at work. I'm sorry. He had asked me what I was doing, and I was like, oh, I'm at work. And I asked him what he was doing, and he was like, oh, I'm about to go see my son. And I was like, oh, like really shocked. I didn't know he had a son. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you had a son. And he was like, yeah. And he responded to that. And I didn't open it. And he had sent me like a picture snap. And I didn't open it. But I had sent him a snap back. And then he had sent me another snap. And I never opened it. I just kept putting it off because I was like, oh, I don't even have a reason for why. Just didn't feel like responding, so I didn't. And when I saw that post on Instagram, I was like, no, I was just talking to him. Like, no, like, I didn't respond because I thought I had time. Like, I kept telling myself, like, oh, I'll respond. I'll get to it. I'm going to get to it. And I just did not have time. I didn't have the time that I thought I did. And I'm really glad that I got to talk to him that week before. I'm really glad that I got to talk to him like a couple days before then. But I am a bit regretful that I could have actually had like a longer conversation with him. But I had just taken the time that I had for granted. And that's really tough. And I think what's really crazy is like realizing that somebody is gone that was like in your life for a really long time. It's crazy. Like at one point, I was seeing that man at almost every single day for like 10 years. And to know that he's gone, and not only that he's gone, but that his kids don't get to grow up with him. And the people that he loved, like his family and his girlfriend, now they have to live without him. And I just don't think that's fair. It's a really tough one. And honestly, I'm really glad that I knew him. I'm really glad that I had him in my life because of the things that I listed, like him just being like a really nice and caring person. Like I can't really even, I don't think that there's really too much more to say. I think to me, that's a version of living a good life, because I feel like if you pass away and people only have the nicest things to say about you, about how nice and how kind and how sweet and how caring you were, to me, you lived a good life. And I'm, like I said, really glad that I knew him. But I wanted to come on here today and share that because I feel like he really deserves that. Like he deserves that moment. He does. But yeah, gun control. Wow, that's crazy. I'm really here. I'm locked in. But gun control. Yeah, let's get into that more. So I went to Georgia State University in Atlanta, and I lived on campus. And this connects because of the gun control that I was just talking about. Yeah. I went to Georgia State, and there was this racetrack that they had just built. Like I remember, I went to go do like the freshman. I don't even know what you call it. You just go and walk around the campus, and I remember I went to walk around the campus, and I was like, I'm gonna hate this school. Like I was like, I made a mistake. I'm gonna hate this school really bad. But they were building a racetrack next to this place called The Mix, which you do not even want to know how much money it costs to live there. You don't want to know that. But, and then my dorm was was like a block or two down the street. And so, hold on. They were building it then when I went to the freshman orientation. And they were like, it'll be open soon. And then I remember it was taking a really long time to open. It had like been a couple of months into our freshman year. And I was like, dang, this racetrack ain't open yet. And eventually it opened. And I would walk there almost every day. I would go get ice because I had low iron. And I would just be chewing ice all the time. So I went to get that ice often, and I would get like Krispy Kreme chocolate glazed donuts because they would always have them in the 6-pack, and I heat them up when I went back to my dorm, and I'd eat them, and I would just be having a time. And then COVID happened. Actually, something really crazy happened outside the racetrack. There was a girl, right? And there's dorms across the street from the racetrack. And we were walking back from somewhere. We had found out that they were closing the school because of COVID. Or no, that we were about to be going, that spring break was going to be like a week longer while they figured out the COVID stuff. And so me and my roommate and my friend group at the time, we had gone to Waffle House because we were like, it's our last hoorah. Like, it's possibly our last day together in college right now. And we were like, we should go out. So we all walked to Waffle House and we went and we sat and we ate. And we just had a good time. And then we walked. And my roommate had left, I think. And so we were outside of the racetrack, walking back to our dorm. And we saw this girl, and like her feet were hanging out of the car. And I think some guys, and it was two girls. Yeah, it was like two girls. Hold on. I'm about to die. Hold on. And it was like two girls in like the car or whatever. And these guys that came up and they were like, hey, we'll help you get her inside or whatever. And me and my friends were like, we not just going to let this go down, right? That doesn't seem quite right. Because the girl who was like, her feet were hanging out, old girl was gone. Like, she was drunk bad. And the thing about the dorms is that the RAs would like, literally like, they'd monitor you. And girl, we were like, we don't know if you're going to be able to get old girl in the dorm without people knowing and being suspicious, because old girl was sloshed. Okay, sloshed. So, and if they found out that you had been drinking, like, you were getting the boot. Like, you were getting the boot bad. So we had like a fairly big group of people. I think it was like four or five of us. And then those two girls. And we were like, we have to get her upstairs. And so the girl who was her roommate and then me and my friends, they got her, right? And then the rest of us were just there for decoy. So to make things look good. Like, it wasn't like we were just basically carrying old girl through. And they had turnstiles. And it's already hard enough to get through the turnstile sober. So getting through the turnstile drunk, girl, just a body at that point. So, old girl, they're helping her get over there. And then me and my friend, I don't remember which friend it was, but we were in the back and we were supposed to just be looking like, like the back end of the group. So we're like, okay, so what's the plan? How are we going to get her in here? And so they're just like, we're just going to hold her up. And when we pass we had like these passes that you had to like scan to get to the turnstile. And we're like, when we swipe the thing, we have to push her through. We're going to have to push her through and we're just going to have to hurry up because they're going to think it's suspicious. So we walk in there. And we try to like pretend like everything's normal, casual. And we end up getting through the turnstile. At one point, one of them somebody did get a little questionable. They did, because there was a couple of RAs at the desk, not just the people who were supposed to be there, like it's usually like two RAs at the desk. And there was a couple more of them like just hanging out talking. And so they tried to get old girl through. And I guess maybe one of them had caught that Miss Girl wasn't really walking on her own. Because they were like, hey, what's going on? What's going on over there? But we had already turned the corner. And we were just praying that the elevator got down there before one of them RAs followed us to see if old girl was okay. Because old girl's going to get kicked out of the dorm. Can promise you that. So the elevator came, because the elevators were always the fastest in that dorm. And specifically, I'm getting ate up by the words and I can't even talk. This is sick and twisted. Anyways, so we went and we like got on the elevator and we went up to like the highest floor. And then we got old girl in their room, and then we started talking to the roommate because she was sober enough, And so we just ended up standing there talking for like at least like an hour and a half or so. Like we were like sharing Snapchats. Like we were like, oh yeah, like you guys are super cool. Like old girl was knocked out on that couch. It was crazy. Anyways, but yeah, that's the time we saved a girl. We don't know what would have happened to old girl. We were actually all standing there like girl, we were like, guys, we have to get back because it was really late. It was like 3 or 4 a.m. I actually want to say it was like 2 or 3. I want to say it was like 2, 3, 4 a.m. And it was getting really late. And my roommate had gone back to our room. Yeah, it was getting really late. We had to start packing up to like leave for the break. And yeah, like, and me and my friends were just standing over there at the racetrack. Like, y'all, I feel like if we don't help, I was like, y'all, I feel like if we don't stop whatever that is right there going on, we're going to hear about old girl in the news. I don't know what we're going to hear, but we need to help that girl. We need to help that girl. We need to be good Samaritans and help that girl. And we did. And we did. We saved a life or two that day. We did. And this was also a time when also trafficking of women and people in general is already like a topic that's being talked about a lot. But in like 2019, early 2020, it was, streets were loud. Streets were loud. Like it was really starting that uptick. It was really starting to uptick, girl. And we were like, yo, we got to do this off the strength. Off the strength. And so we did. And so we did. And we saved that girl's life that day. We did. I like to think that we changed lives that day. I like to think that, y'all, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm on my last leg. I'm on my last leg over here. Honestly, somebody needs to pray for me. Somebody needs to pray for me. I haven't seen a good month. Girl. I haven't seen a good month since November. I think November was maybe the last good month I had. And even that's up for debate. Because I don't even know what was happening in November. I remember very vividly what happened in December. I came on this podcast crying. Well, actually, I wanted to come on this podcast crying. Actually, November might have been when I threw up from that Don Julio. So honestly, I haven't seen a good month since maybe October. Because I didn't have a good summer. Because I had that post-grad depression. So it's just been like, it's just been bad. It's just been bad. Somebody needs to pray for me. Somebody send a prayer out. Somebody send a prayer out. I'm close. I'm on the edge. Okay. Anywho, back to what I was supposed to be talking about with the racetrack. Anyways, racetrack used to be a calm, cool place. That one in particular. And then, over the pandemic, in the last 3 years, and really now, they're shutting down the racetrack. And they're closing it because it has just become just this spot of violence. Like, they be having shootouts over there. Like, people have been, like, apparently, like, there was maybe sort of kind of, allegedly, I don't know. My friend said there was a body found there. And, there was, like, this big, like, I wouldn't even say riot. There was, like, something happened in the streets that day. And it was all over TikTok and on the news. And it was time to let that racetrack go. I just think it's weird that so much stuff happens over there at that racetrack because it's such a busy place, because the dining hall is right across the street. And also the cops used to be there often. So really, I don't know. I don't really understand that. I really don't. But yeah, they're closing it down. And I was like, damn, like, we really can't have anything anymore because of these damn guns. And so I came here this week to talk about us having a gun issue that I can't fully articulate because because I feel like I'm about to pass away after almost every sentence I say. So I'm going to get back to that next week. Just know this. I'm going to get back to that. Anywho, girl, I really wanted to make it to an hour, but I can't, girl. I really can't. I don't even think that this episode was particularly entertaining. I'm just really sad. Like, I really wanted this episode to be great. I wanted it to be great. I was ready to be great. I couldn't get the job done. But I did want to say this before I go. I have other things to say, and I'm going to talk about them next week, next Saturday, on the episode that comes out. AI's weird. Anyways, but I wanted to say that even though I've been having a bad month, I really do think, or really a bad year, I really do think that there's something to be learned here. I don't really know what it is yet. I don't know what it is right now. I don't know. But honestly, I'm glad that I could have a pity party, because I feel like even like when you're sick, it offers you time to like, when you get sick, I feel like it gives you time to like kind of slow down and, you know, like maybe you've just been going a little too hard in the paint. Maybe you've been working a little too hard. Maybe you've been a little too stressed. And I think that right now is a good time for me to kind of slow down, considering that I will be losing my job soon. But I think something else that I'm learning, like I said, I don't know if I said it in this episode yet or not, because my mind isn't working anymore. But if there's anything I've been learning in life lately, it's that I feel like you can do anything right. You can do everything right. You can go to college and you can graduate high school and just finish top of your class, and you can go to college and you can do great, and you can just have dreams for yourself. And even though you do everything right and you stayed prepared and you thought that everything was going to be fine, sometimes things don't turn out fine. And I think that that's okay. You know, I think a lot of life is about realizing that, not only realizing, but accepting also that unfortunately, like, life is always just going to have something for you. Like, you may think that you have everything figured out and you're going to get something else thrown at you again. And there's something to be learned there. I am a big proponent and believer in being optimistic and believing in balance, and that even though I've had like a really rough week, and I'm having a terrible weekend, and even though I've had like a really rough couple of months to start off the year, I'm still hopeful that things can get better and that I can be better and that I can grow and I can do all the stuff that I want to do. And I think it's just about wanting it a little bit. It's about wanting to be better. It's about wanting to do better. It's about wanting to learn. It's about wanting good things, I think, sometimes. So yeah, even if you do everything right, or even if you don't do everything right, you always end up where you're supposed to be. And I really believe that. I'm choosing to believe that, because if I don't choose to believe in something, I don't really know what the point of all this would be, honestly. So yeah, I'll come back next week and I'll be better. I'll be stronger. I'll be healed. Hopefully, I will have recovered. But yeah, if you stay for this episode, even though it was super short, if you stay for this episode, I do want you to know this though. I don't remember if I said it. It's important to live in the bad moments too. I think it's important to live in the good moments and to take those in. For me in particular, it's really hard for me to feel like I deserve the good moments. Yeah. For me in particular, I think it's really hard for me to believe that I deserve good things sometimes. And I'm hoping that maybe if I give this time to throw myself a little pity party and to be sad and reflect on the many changes and constant changes that are happening in my life and the things that are happening, that I'll be able to feel more deserving of the good things when they come. So thanks for listening if you did. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Again, I really just did this episode because not that I thought it was going to be great. I wanted it to be great, but I really just wanted to show up for myself. And I think that this was a really good stuff for me. So I want you guys to go out there, have goals, have dreams, whatever life throws at you. Don't let it win. Don't let it beat you. Like sometimes you end up down bad for months at a time. Sometimes for a year, sometimes for years. But truly know that good is coming around the corner. You might just have to wait a little bit long. You might have to walk a long time before you get to that turn. But it's coming, and when it does, you're deserving of that. It's going to be great. Go out there, keep living, keep being proud of yourself, keep doing good things. Be the person, super cliche that people say this, but it's so true. Just be the person that you want to see in the world, and other people will learn from you and be proud of you and have good things to say about you. And yeah, well, I will talk about the other things that I needed to discuss in this episode later. But again, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Bye.